I'm going to show you how to joint a board with a deck of cards. But first, a word from the sponsor of today's video. I'm Ron Paulk, and I really enjoy bringing these videos to you free of charge. This is the Smart Wood Shop. If you would like to get a detailed set of plans to build a smart wood shop for yourself or one of the Paulk smart workbenches, there is a link in the description of this video down below where you can go purchase a set of plans and download them instantaneously 24/7, 365. Some of my projects require glue ups. If I'm building up a tabletop, I need to rip a series of pieces of hardwood and then rip them down to the size so that they are sized for my particular design. After that, I need to put an edge on it. The table saw does a really good job, but for laminating boards together, and I would have more of these, I would glue them up and then clamp them together. And a lot of times I'd be using a domino or some kind of joining technique as well. But I want the top to come together, and there is just that little bit that the table saw blade leaves that I want to take off. When I had my woodworking shop in the past, I had a really big joiner. It was, I think, an 8-foot bed and an 8 or 6 or 8 inch cutter. But I'm a portable shop, and having a jointer is not really an option to take that to and from the job. So I've come up with a way to use my router fence. Now there are some much more sophisticated router fences on the market that you can purchase, such as my woodpecker super fence, which you've seen me use in the past. That has an outfeed fence on it that I can adjust in and out. But for this fence that I make myself, I don't have that. And trying to come up with a mechanical way to dial the outfeed side of the fence in and out, it's just something I didn't want to bother with. So I want to offset the outfeed side just the way I would on a jointer. A jointer, of course, I'd be using the bed, and I would be adjusting the bed up and down. In this case, I'm doing it vertically, and so I want to adjust. This would be the bed of it that I'm going to adjust out a small amount. The quickest and simplest solution that I've come up with is using a deck of cards. I keep a deck of cards in the Smart Wood Shop. These make great shims. There's a lot of applications that these work for, and so I end up using them up and adding another deck once they're gone. A single card is approximately 1/128th of an inch or 0.3 millimeters. I want to offset this about a 32nd of an inch, whatever I determine. I know that this is such a good cut with the table saw, I've got a nice blade, that I just have some of the saw marks I want to remove. So what I'll do is when I'm laying out my project, I'll figure out the dimension that I want to end up with, and I'll make it just a little bit wider. So if I'm going to go with a 32nd, then on each side, then I'll make it about a 1/16th of an inch wider than the finished cut that I want to get. So what I need to do is stack up enough cards to give me that 1/32nd of an inch. I happen to know, because I've done this so many times, that it's 3 cards, but I can double check it with a caliper. And sure enough, it's exactly 1/32nd of an inch or 0.83 millimeters. I want 2 stacks of 3 because I want to put one on the front and one on the back to keep the fence parallel. I'll loosen up the outfeed side of the fence. This is adjustable in and out so that I can dial it in to allow the opening to be very close to the diameter of my bit. Now I happen to use an upcut spiral, solid carbide spiral bit. This is the same bit that I use for all of my pattern routing, which, going back to that, is another reason that I use that, because I have these bits in varying sizes for pattern routing, and this just allows me to use them for more than a single operation. With the outfeed fence loose, I'll slip 3 cards in and just tighten them up so they're clamped in space. I'll drop them in far enough because I not only want to make it parallel this way, but I want to make sure that I'm not tipping it. But I'll drop them in just so I can still grab them out when I'm done with it. Same thing on the other side. And then crank it down so they're not going to go anywhere. The next thing I'll do is loosen up the fence, and I want to set up the outfeed side of the fence so that it is flush with the outside cut of the bit. So I'll rotate the bit around to make sure that I'm getting right on the spot I want, and I will bring this side of the fence out until I am touching the base of the cutter so that I know that once I come out of there, the cut is done. And then if I eyeball it and put the board on the outfeed side and kind of keep enough of it so that I can make sure it's making continual contact, then I can see that amount that I'm going to cut off, this 1/32 on this side. With the outfeed clamped in and the fence itself clamped down, I'm ready to start. This is an operation that I've done so many times. It takes under a minute to set it up and have it ready to go. Now I have a beautiful flat edge with no saw marks on it at all, ready for me to glue up and clamp up my project. Hopefully the video shows you how perfect that joint is. It's almost imperceptible unless you hold it in the light just right. So I know that I would take my multiple boards, get them all set up, and again, I'd probably be using dominoes in here as well to strengthen the joint. And after the glue dries and a little cleanup and scraping, I'd have a beautiful tabletop ready for me to finish up. And I'm demonstrating this with the short board. Typically I'm using much longer boards, but this fence works out perfect for that. Every woodworker has a router table. And if you don't, you really should. It's an invaluable tool. And now spending a couple of dollars on a deck of cards, you can add a joiner to your tool quiver. If you enjoy these tool tips, if you've learned anything, if you'd like to see me make more, then be sure to give me a thumbs up and subscribe. And remember to ring that bell when you subscribe so you'll know when I put up a new video. And if you get a chance, I'd really appreciate it if you'd share this channel with somebody you know. Thanks for dropping into the Smart Wood Shop. You stay safe and have a great day.